Hey guys, welcome to another episode in studio. Road Runners Unfiltered. I got my dog Aneas with me, former UTSA cornerback, and one of the homies. Appreciate you for being here.
Appreciate you having me on.
First thing I want to roll into is the season expectations.
I'm actually expecting a pretty good season, to be honest with you. Like
this year?
Yeah. I mean, I know we're going into a new conference and all that stuff, but I mean, just looking at the schedule and whatnot, like I'm not too concerned with Houston. I mean, I don't really know what they have on the other end, but that's definitely a winnable game. And then the only thing that, like, I guess if I'm just being maybe like realistic or not being, picking with my heart, but even if I'm picking with my head, right, like I can see us beating UT, but not, University or Tennessee, so going down to where they play, Knoxville.
Yep.
Play old Rocky Top. We can go in there and make sure they don't, get Rocky Top out. So other than that, I mean, who on the schedule are we just underdogs with? I know there's always trap games and whatnot, but I can see us going undefeated, honestly.
Undefeated. So is that your official prediction?
It's not my official prediction, but I do want to put that out there. But my official prediction was, I'm not going to sit here and count all the games. The only loss I can see maybe we take is Tennessee. Other than that, I would favor us in every game. So whatever that comes out to is at 12-1. I don't feel like sitting here and counting every
12-1 is not undefeated though.
No, that's why I said it's not my official prediction. I mean, I'm putting it out there.
So you're saying 11-1.
Yeah, 11-1 or 12-1, whatever. How many games we have? Yeah. But Tennessee being the only loss, because I mean, other than that, Houston, we're gonna go down and smack them.
Yeah.
Then we got Tennessee, and then after that, like Texas State, and this is for all my friends that do go to Texas State or went or graduated from Texas State. Y'all are getting smashed. We're gonna walk y'all like some dogs. I'm not even gonna lie.
Texas State ain't got a shot.
We walking y'all like dogs. But
as far as my prediction goes on the season, I'm not gonna give my official one yet. I do think not yet, because I might at the end of the pod, but I think that we have an opportunity to go undefeated. But I mean, you know how it is, man. Like,
Of course, and we can break down
things happen. Yeah, things happen like throughout a season. I don't want to put that pressure out there. Number one, like undefeated is a tall task, but I at least think it's in the cards. What I will say though is, I'm just thinking about, like, obviously Houston's gonna be a tough game. As I said last week on the pod with Farrah, bro, they introducing a new quarterback against UTSA. That dude having to come in his debut game in the UH jersey against UTSA, that defense, and then one of the best players in the country, and Frank Harris, being your opposing quarterback, like, bro, that's a tough task.
But that's why I'm so confident, though. Like, how many teams can say they have, like, a quarterback with this much experience, right? Like, he's seen probably more than what you could ever
100%.
expect out of a
bro been there for like
career.
7 years.
7 years, and I don't blame him. So, I mean, like, at this point,
Right.
he ought to be running things. But as I'm looking at the schedule, right, so we pop off at U of H. So, I'm going to count that as a win. Then we go to Texas State. We walking, or they come to us. We walking them. Now, what is always scary is these funny teams like Army.
Bro, and we seen it last year.
Funny option running team that is just always hard to prepare for, because you know what? Usually, what happens right in camp, because these like teams like this Army or these wishbone teams, Navy or like Georgia Tech with Paul Johnson back in the day, like a few years ago, you have to take time out of camp.
Yes.
So even as they're preparing for U of H, they had to take time out of camp to prepare for Army. And that's, orange out game. Army has a big presence in San Antonio. So it's not just, of course there will be our UTSA fans there, but like there's going to be a lot of their fans there too. And even last year, like they gave me a heart attack. I could not believe we was, having as much trouble with it. And so that's always a scary game. So if we can get out of that Army game 3-0 and then go to Tennessee don't know what they got coming to them, but
yeah, I think the Army game scares me because, to your point about it being a team that is hard to prepare for, like I said this last year on the pod, it's about being assignment sound. Like their system is built upon one player making one mistake. If a player don't fill a gap, it's basically a touchdown.
You have to do your job, and that's how crucial it is. You get your, like, as a corner, right? We play corner,
right?
you can, and because they run the ball so much, that one time you put your eyes
Yep.
in the backfield just to see,
Yep.
let's watch them through the read option, and then it's a play action,
Yeah.
and
And
whoever you're supposed to be guarding, you got to like do your defensive keys, and now the ball is over your head. And when they like throwing the ball,
Bro, they threw the ball.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna check right now. I feel like I could be like way off, but I feel like they threw for like 300 yards. I feel like last year.
Even if it was 100 yards, the effectiveness.
Yes, No, hold on. I'm sorry.
That's what it felt like.
It was basically 300 yards, basically 300 through the air, with 2 touchdowns. Because they starting quarterback was 11 for 15, 221 yards. And then they had somebody else. They did like a trick play. It was for a 77-yard touchdown, I think, or they did some play with a 77-yard touchdown. So yeah, they had, and then there was like a 6-yard. So they had just right at 300 yards passing through the air against us last year. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the scary thing about a team like that. If you're undisciplined and we playing them early.
Exactly. Where early in the season, you're still trying to find your footing, everything. Even though you had camp and what is that, our third game?
Yeah.
You're going to have 2 different styles. Like, it's drastic, right? You go from, I'm assuming Houston, some type of like spread air. They got Dana Hogerson, so I know they're going to throw the ball all over the yard. Texas State, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm assuming they're going to throw it as well. And then you're going to go to this read option, wishbone, or whatever, however they classify it now.
And the scary part, like I said, the scary part about it is, with it being third season of the game, you know this too, bro. The coordinator ain't even sure who he's going to be his GoDaddies throughout the whole year. It's still kind of position battle time in those first few games. Like, you got your starters in some positions that are obviously going to be, vets and stuff like that, but you still working out rotations, who's going to come in dime packages, who's going to come in heavy packages, all that type of stuff. And you also going to have to rely on deeper personnel and different personnel against the offense like that, because you got to have more bigs in the game. So
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's such a, I don't know what technically we classify defense as, maybe some type of 4-2-5. I don't know,
or
something like that. But then you get to playing Army, you got to have instead of being spread out. Now you got 8 people, 9 people in the box. Some old school offense that's it's just a drastic change to everybody. Your calls are different. You really you have to prepare an entire game plan for just one team, one game, as opposed to you can take a dime package through Houston, through Texas State, through Tennessee, all these air raid spread teams, and then you really only creating one defense for 1 week, which is you throw out all your keys, and then you just got to focus on that. So it's a tricky game. I do think we'll get through that. Hopefully with our veteran leadership, Frank Harris, hopefully just front run, get out, and they can't run the ball, right? They can't just run the clock out, which is always scary. Now they got to get out of their comfort zone and start throwing the ball. Which if they're down and they're trailing and they have to play catch up and start throwing the ball, then
we got where we want them.
Exactly.
Exactly. The one team I didn't hear you bring up though that everybody is worried about, and for good reason, is Tulane. Tulane's a team that is going to be a tough matchup. But you said something about Frank Harris before. I want to kind of move on to the next topic on the back of that. What do you think UTSA looks like post-Frank whenever he leaves after this season? Obviously, we're probably going to make a run this year. I'm hoping we get – that's my one official prediction. I don't care what the record is this season. We got to win a bowl game. But yeah, after Frank leaves, what are we looking like?
So I know you asked about Frank, but that's things that I feel like we should be preparing for, recruiting wise, and then also with the transfer portal. With the transfer portal and how good UTSA is lately, I would hope that if we don't have somebody, because I don't really know who's backup quarterback, anything like that. But where my mind goes when you ask me that, if we have the season that I'm predicting, 12-1 or undefeated, it's not just Frank that I'm worried about. Jet Traylor may be gone, dog. They gonna back the Brinks truck up to him, and that's a scary thing to me because
they just backed it up. They just backed up the Brinks truck and paid them more.
I know, but I don't know what team. You know how teams are every year. Right. What big team is gonna panic and get rid of it? I always, and I had this conversation with other people, especially my pops, and I'm just thinking all right, you talking about an East Texas guy, right? And you know how Texas is viewed in Texas high school football is viewed just generally.
Yeah.
Imagine A&M has a sorry, and they like, you know what, Jimbo, we want you out of here. And I know that we backed the Brinks truck up, but like A&M got different type of money, so you know, and A&M does have an East Texas pipeline. So what if they come looking for Jeff Traylor?
You know what?
So
I feel like from him, and I obviously like he's gonna say whatever to appease people in San Antonio as he should. But I actually think that there is some real truth in what he's saying in terms of like, yo, I'm really trying to stay here and make this program huge. Like, I'm not trying to, like, I've believed that. So I think he'll stay regardless. Because, I mean, the Tech job was his if he wanted it last year.
But
and
Tech
he
ain't
did.
A&M.
Of course.
It's just different levels. Like, I do believe.
I think he'd leave for UT.
I mean, yeah, but I just
think he'd leave for UT.
I would agree too, but also I don't think UT is.
And I would tell him to.
But I don't think UT is as open of a job as A&M looks like. Jimbo has been on the hot seat for a few years,
right.
And I know they gave him that like large contract, but like I mean, he's bringing in Bobby Petrino, who's had all types of like off the field issues. So like at this point, they got to get their offense right. But, and especially with, I mean, they have #1 recruiting classes every year. And,
yeah.
I mean, you know how it is when you. Like these donors, they want to win. Like these donors are competitive. They looking at facts. UT coming up, and you know they're gonna have that rivalry. So, I mean, as good as Jimbo is and a national champion, when you have one of your own, and like when you like, you know, Traylor's a Texas high school legend. Like when you have one of them, like that's hard to turn down. Now, I do believe that he wants to be there, but like we believe a lot of stuff, and then when that check come across your table, like. You know, that's a different type of opportunity. Like,
right.
Know.
I feel like, put it like this. I feel like it wouldn't be next year if it happens. I feel like it wouldn't be next year. But what I will say this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit, but like, we got to figure out the money situation fast. We got to figure out how to get kids paid. Because this NIL stuff, bro, like we are not going to continue to retain talent just by winning football games year in and year out. Like we're gonna have to start making an impact on that NIL level and start because one of the things Fair was telling me last week was like, yo, SMU, you walk in and you getting 20 to 40K off the muscle, just by being a part of the team. Yeah. And, like, she was telling me, like, yeah, we ain't doing that at UTSA. Like, that's not a thing at UTSA. At least to my knowledge, it ain't.
And this is stuff that he's, come out on the media and, like, put out. And I don't think it's like he's talking to the media. I think this is a message to San Antonio and everybody else. Is like, hey, it's a gift that we can develop these players. But, like, with the NIL and just the current structure, like the NCAA, we're not going to be able to keep these people. I mean, football is just still from Dana White. Like this is not a career really. Like it's an opportunity, right? So you're gonna have to take your opportunity to make as much money as you can because not everybody's going to the NFL. And now if you don't really, it's hard to get in the NFL as it is, right? Like 1% of 1% make it to the NFL. Right. So if your best opportunity is to make all this money now that you can, and why not stay? You know what I'm saying? So if you have these bigger D1 schools, these Power 5 schools that are offering you money, like you only have.
Just happened to Zakari Franklin.
Exactly. So how much more? And we develop these players, so they're gonna look and see. Oh, that player. They're gonna start identifying. Oh, Zakari Franklin's and Frank. We know we're lucky to keep Frank Harris's, but I mean, are we always gonna be that lucky?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we gonna have to figure out how to do something to improve that NIL, the NIL collectives or whatever you want to call it. Like we gotta start getting them players paid, and I don't know whose job that is. Like I'm sure that like. Some of that falls on the AD or people just around the program that's like trying to fundraise and like create financial opportunities for the players. Whoever is in charge of that, I'm begging you, do your thing.
Get on that.
Yes.
Get on 100%. We in San Antonio, what is that, like the 6th largest city?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know the stats. Y'all can do that. Y'all can fact check that. But like, get on that.
Please.
I know they got very loyal fans. look at like the Spurs and stuff, just how they fan base goes. San Antonio is a big city. Get on that.
Yes. To your point about the whole Traylor thing, like I could see him being in a situation where he leaves because like, yo, I'm not getting support.
Well, I would just say this. If you're a school, and I believe him when he says that, but like if I'm playing like the other side and I'm one of these other big schools,
yeah,
I'm going to make him say no.
Right.
I'm throwing him everything you want. Everything that you complained about. Look, I'm this school. We got NIL money.
Right.
I'm going to give you money that your, grandkids can use, so like just set them up generationally. And then these is like big time opportunities, right? Also for coaches, like UTSA, you got them off the ground, but like how many times are you going to be able to do that, right? Like if you're at UTSA and you're not getting the funding and you do keep getting your players poached, at some point that's going to take a toll on your team.
Exactly.
And so, you may lose that opportunity, right? You might not be going 12-1, 10-2,
right,
all that every year. You're going to start going 7-6,
right.
That record lowers down and then you don't have those opportunities. Mm-hmm. So like if I'm one of these other schools, like I'll make him say no. So to answer your question, like what does UTSA look like? I'm not sure. I do have a lot of optimism though, just because, we off the ground and we just looking at recruiting, we're starting to get like big time recruits and stuff like that. So I do think we'll always be in a good position. I mean, Texas is just full of talent, so it don't matter where you at.
We just got to build off this momentum and capitalize off this momentum. Exactly. And we cannot let the NIL stuff kill us. Obviously, some of the bigger schools are going to poach players. Like that's just going to be the nature of the beast. But like
we should also be able to do the same.
That too. But like SMU is in our conference now, right? We can't be losing to people like that, though. You know what I'm saying? We're directly competing with them for talent in the state of Texas. A lot of our recruits come from Dallas. We get a lot of good talent from Dallas. Zachary Franklin was from Cedar Hill. I think he was from Cedar Hill in Dallas.
Somewhere up there.
Yeah. So like, just think about it. If you're a kid and you like, okay, I got offers from both UTSA and SMU, but I know for a fact day one I'm going to get 40 bands off SMU. That's a hard thing to turn down. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, I just hope that we don't fall to the NIL stuff.
And I know
because we aren't competitive and we can't raise money.
I know a lot of people say it's not as easy to like just
get
money, but like also like I don't know that that's also a good excuse because it is what it is. If you want to win, you got to get with it or you're gonna get lost.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody's job in there is to raise money.
Exactly.
I don't want to put everything on the AD or anything like that, but somebody in there was brought in to fundraise and create these opportunities because they, these programs understand NIL and all that type of stuff. Somebody's responsible for that. So even if it's a hard job, we all have hard jobs at the end of the day. It's hard to go out there as a football player and perform under the big lights like that against other elite athletes and win football games. It's hard as a coach to go out there and put a team together and put a staff together and all that type of stuff. So somebody,
Yeah, and I mean,
gotta step up.
Just talking to like some players, that is a big thing. And I mean, I'm just imagining what I would have been like, getting recruited and having so much money off it. It would have been a totally different thing, right? Like everything I would have considered for football would have been different. Back then we were looking at, playing time and depth chart and can I play close to home? And now, with conference realignment, you may be playing teams all the way across the country. Yeah. So like just it's not as regional anymore. And then now like I said, you got to make your money where you can make your money. Like 18, you can make $40,000. Because a lot of these kids come from broken circumstances and like just they need that money. You know what I'm saying? And it's as crazy as it sounds, like you can't bring everybody along, but that's just the reality of it. Like So
that's such a good point about the kids coming from broken homes, bro. Because how many times do you hear a story of a person from the NFL go back to their hometown? They came from the slums.
Exactly.
They all had to go through a college system, and think about if. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, my mama may not make $40,000 in a year, but I can go get 40 bands going to one of these schools, and I can send half of it back home so my mama.
And that's always been the thing.
That's
like
crazy.
It just used to be under the table, right? And then a few years later, somebody get caught. There's some NCAA violation, which was weird. NCAA, give Reggie Bush his Heisman back.
Yeah, come on now.
Give his Heisman back. But exactly. When you have that, and you get that consideration, that's gonna be a big thing. So I do definitely think that however that needs to get done should be almost like a top priority.
Yeah, 100%. Make sure y'all smash that like button and subscribe to the channel.